There's a weed that makes honey, not something that resembles honey, not a substitute that tastes vaguely similar. Honey, golden, thick, sweet honey that drips from a spoon exactly like the honey in your cabinet. Honey that spreads on toast the same way. Honey that dissolves in tea the same way. Honey that fools everyone who tastes it. This honey requires no bees. No hives, no protective suits, no smokers, no expensive equipment, no years of learning beekeeping, no risk of stings, no colony collapse, no mites, no disease, no winter die-offs. None of the complexity and cost and heartbreak that beekeeping demands. This honey grows in your lawn. You have walked past it 1,000 times. You have cursed it as a nuisance. You have sprayed poison on it to make it disappear. You have spent money and effort destroying the very plant that could give you unlimited free honey forever. This honey takes 10 minutes to set up. Pick the flowers, add water, add sugar, add lemon. The process is so simple that a child could do it. The result is so good that experts cannot tell the difference. 10 minutes of preparation creates honey that lasts for years. This honey has been made for centuries. European grandmothers have passed the recipe through generations. Villages that could not afford real honey made this instead. Poor families fed their children this honey when bees were for the wealthy. The knowledge existed everywhere until the modern world forgot. And the honey industry made sure you would never remember. The global honey market generates $9 billion per year. That revenue depends on you believing that honey requires bees. It depends on you not knowing that a weed in your lawn produces the same result. It depends on your ignorance of what your great-grandmother knew. Every jar of honey sold is a jar that could have been made for free. Every dollar spent on honey is a dollar the industry extracted from your ignorance. Every lawn sprayed with herbicide is a honey supply destroyed. Today, we are opening the file on the weed that makes honey without bees. The flower that grows everywhere and produces sweetness identical to what bees create. The ancient recipe that European grandmothers kept alive. And the industry that hopes you never learn that honey grows in your yard. If this matters to you, subscribe and hit the bell. The file is open. The weed is called the dandelion. Taraxacum officinale, the yellow flower that dots every lawn in spring, the plant that gardeners consider a pest, the species that has been eaten and used medicinally for over 10,000 years. The dandelion is not native to North America. It was brought deliberately by European colonists who valued it as food and medicine. Every part of the plant was useful. The leaves were salad, the roots were roasted for coffee, the flowers were made into wine and honey. The colonists would be horrified to see their descendants spraying poison on plants they crossed an ocean to cultivate. The flower is where the honey comes from. The bright yellow petals contain nectar and compounds that create honey's characteristic flavor. When processed correctly, these compounds transform into something indistinguishable from bee honey. The flavor is floral and sweet with subtle bitter undertones. The color is golden amber, lighter than most commercial honey. The texture is thick and syrupy, coating the spoon exactly as honey should. The similarity is not coincidence. Bees make honey from flower nectar. The dandelion honey process extracts the same nectar compounds directly. The endpoint is the same because the starting material is the same. The bees are simply middlemen. They collect nectar and process it. The dandelion honey method skips the middlemen and processes the nectar directly. The process is absurdly simple. Gather dandelion flowers on a sunny morning. The flowers should be fully open and dry. Avoid flowers near roads or areas that may have been sprayed. A grocery bag full of flowers is enough for a quart of honey. Remove the green parts from each flower. The green sepals at the base of the flower are bitter. Only the yellow petals should be used. This step takes the most time, but determines the quality of the final product. Place the petals in a pot with water. Use approximately 4 cups of water per 4 cups of loosely packed petals. Bring to a boil and then reduce to a simmer. Cook for about 30 minutes. Strain out the petals. Press them to extract all the liquid. The resulting tea is the base of the honey. The curing took longer than modern cement. Roman concrete required weeks or months to reach full strength. Portland cement reaches working strength in days. The speed of Portland cement was its competitive advantage. But the slower cure produced a different material. The extended reaction time allowed crystal structures to form more completely. The bonds that developed were stronger. The material that emerged was fundamentally different from fast-curing Portland cement. The lime in Roman concrete was made by burning limestone. This process releases carbon dioxide and leaves calcium oxide, which becomes calcium hydroxide when water is added. The calcium hydroxide reacts with the volcanic ash to form the binding crystite. Modern Portland cement uses a different chemistry. Limestone is burned with clay at much higher temperatures. The result is calcium silicates that hydrate quickly but produce a different crystal structure. The faster reaction creates a weaker final product. The scientific rediscovery has confirmed what the ruins always demonstrated. Researchers at the University of Utah published groundbreaking findings in 2017. They analyzed Roman concrete samples from ancient harbor structures. They used electron microscopes and spectroscopy to examine the material at atomic scales. They found that Roman concrete contained mineral crystals that had grown over centuries. The crystalline structures, called tobermorite and philipsite, had formed throughout the material. These crystals reinforced the concrete, like rebar reinforces modern structures. The crystals formed because of seawater exposure, not despite it. The chemical reactions between seawater, volcanic ash, and lime produced the mineral growth. The sea was strengthening the concrete continuously for 2,000 years. This was exactly opposite to Portland cement behavior. Seawater destroys Portland cement. The reactions that strengthen Roman concrete weaken modern concrete. The Roman formula works with nature, while Portland cement fights against it. Research at MIT, Berkeley, and institutions across Europe has confirmed and extended these findings. The science is settled. Roman concrete is superior to Portland cement for applications requiring durability. The implications for modern construction are enormous. Every coastal structure could be built to last millennia instead of decades. Seawalls, harbors, bridges, and buildings exposed to salt water could be made from material that strengthens rather than weakens. The maintenance costs alone would be transformed. Trillions of dollars are spent globally maintaining concrete infrastructure. Roman-style concrete would dramatically reduce these ongoing expenses. The environmental benefits would be substantial. Portland cement production generates approximately 8% of global carbon dioxide emissions. The high-temperature kilns required to produce clinic consume enormous energy. Roman concrete can be made at lower temperatures with less energy. The raw materials for Roman concrete are more sustainable. Volcanic ash is a natural material that requires no processing. Lime production does release carbon dioxide, but the total emissions are lower than Portland cement production. The durability means less material used over time. A structure that lasts 2,000 years replaces 20 structures that each last 100 years. The resource consumption drops by 95% when measured over civilizational timescales. The cement industry has not embraced these findings. The companies that produce Portland cement have invested billions in manufacturing capacity. Their kilns, supply chains, and distribution networks are optimized for the current formula. Switching to a different chemistry would strand these investments. The business model depends on replacement. A house needs a new roof every 30 years, a new siding every 40 years, and a new foundation every 100 years. The suppliers of these materials make money on every replacement cycle. Roman concrete breaks this model. A foundation that lasts 2,000 years does not create customers for foundation replacement. The initial sale is the only sale. The revenue potential is radically different. The industry response has been to ignore the research. They do not dispute the findings. They do not claim that Portland cement is better. They simply do not discuss the comparison. The engineering schools that train concrete specialists teach Portland cement chemistry. The textbooks do not include Roman concrete formulas. The standards that govern construction specify Portland cement-based materials. The system perpetuates itself. Engineers learn Portland cement. Standards require Portland cement. Suppliers provide Portland cement. The alternative that worked better for the Romans is not part of the modern system. The historical loss of Roman concrete knowledge is a tragedy of civilizational collapse. The Roman Empire did not fall overnight. It declined over centuries. The infrastructure that required skilled workers and organized supply chains degraded as society destabilized. By the late 20th century, the knowledge had nearly disappeared. A few homesteaders and natural living enthusiasts kept it alive. The internet allowed them to share with others. A slow revival has begun. But the mainstream remains ignorant. Most people still spray their dandelions. Most people still buy their honey. Most people still do not know what they are destroying. The honey industry benefits from this ignorance. The global honey market is concentrated among a few large producers. China produces approximately 25% of world honey. Argentina, Turkey, Ukraine, and the United States are other major producers. The industry is structured for profit, not for consumer benefit. Honey fraud is rampant. Studies have found that a significant percentage of honey sold in stores is adulterated with corn syrup or other sweeteners. The honey you buy may not be honey at all. The industry response has not been to clean up fraud, but to fight regulations and testing. The profits from adulterated honey are too large to surrender. The consumers who cannot tell the difference continue paying premium prices for fake products. Against this backdrop of fraud and profiteering, dandelion honey represents a threat. A consumer who makes their own honey cannot be sold fake honey. A family that harvests dandelions does not generate industry revenue. The industry has never promoted dandelion honey. They have never acknowledged it as a legitimate alternative. They have allowed the knowledge to fade while promoting their products. This is not conspiracy. It is simply market behavior. Industries do not promote alternatives to their products. They do not educate consumers about options that reduce demand. They let inconvenient knowledge die while amplifying convenient messages. The beekeeping equipment industry adds another layer of suppression. Beekeeping has been marketed as the only way to produce honey at home. The magazines, websites, and stores that serve beekeepers Promote a hobby that requires significant investment. A basic beekeeping setup costs $300 to $500. Protective equipment, hives, tools, and bees must all be purchased. The ongoing costs of maintenance, disease treatment, and queen replacement add up. Many hobbyists spend thousands of dollars over years. The equipment industry generates substantial revenue from this hobby. The classes, books, and online courses add more revenue. A cottage industry has grown around beekeeping that depends on continued interest. Dandelion honey threatens this industry directly. Why spend $500 on beekeeping equipment when you can make honey from weeds for free? Why take classes and buy books when the process fits on an index card? The beekeeping industry does not promote dandelion honey for the same reason the commercial honey industry does not. The alternative reduces their market. Silence is the rational response. The environmental implications favor dandelion honey dramatically. Commercial beekeeping contributes to honeybee problems. The transportation of hives for pollination stresses bees. The concentration of bees in monoculture farms spreads disease. The commercial practices that maximize honey production may undermine bee health. Backyard beekeeping is better, but not without impact. Managed honeybees compete with native pollinators. The diseases of managed bees can spread to wild populations. The idealized image of beekeeping ignores real ecological concerns. Dandelion honey involves no bees at all. Native pollinators are not affected. No diseases are spread. No hives are transported. The ecological footprint is essentially zero. The dandelion plants that produce the flowers are ecological heroes in their own right. They provide early season pollen and nectar when little else blooms. The native bees and butterflies that need spring flowers depend on dandelions. Harvesting dandelion flowers for honey does not harm this function. The flowers are taken after they have been pollinated. The seeds will still form. The ecological benefit continues, while humans also benefit. The contrast with herbicide-maintained lawns could not be sharper. A lawn sprayed to kill dandelions provides nothing for pollinators and nothing for humans. A lawn where dandelions are harvested provides food for pollinators and honey for people. The choice between poison and harvest is a choice between death and abundance. The traditional variations expand the possibilities. Some recipes add herbs to the honey. Lavender dandelion honey combines two floral flavors. Rose petal dandelion honey adds elegance. Vanilla dandelion honey appeals to different tastes. Some recipes use less sugar for a thinner syrup better suited to beverages. Others use more sugar for a thicker preserve that holds shape on bread. Some recipes ferment the honey into mead or wine. The process is simple and the results can be excellent. Dandelion wine was once common in European villages. Some recipes combine dandelion with other edible flowers. Violet honey, clover honey, and elderflower honey can all be made with similar methods. A forager who knows their flowers can create a rainbow of honeys. The creativity is limited only by knowledge and willingness to experiment. The basic process adapts to countless variations. Each batch can be different. The rediscovery is happening slowly but steadily. Homesteading communities have embraced dandelion honey. The self-sufficiency appeal is obvious. Making your own honey fits the ethos of reducing dependence on commercial products. Natural health communities have promoted dandelion honey for its medicinal properties. The liver-supporting compounds in dandelion appeal to those seeking alternatives to conventional medicine. Zero-waste communities appreciate that dandelion honey uses plants that would otherwise be discarded. The sustainability angle attracts environmental consciousness. Social media has accelerated the spread. Videos of dandelion honey production accumulate millions of views. The visual appeal of golden syrup pouring into jars captures attention. The message spreads further than written recipes ever could, but the mainstream still sprays their lawns. The mainstream still buys commercial honey. The mainstream still does not know. You now know what they did not want you to know. You know that dandelion flowers make honey without bees. You know that the process takes 10 minutes of preparation and a few hours of unattended simmering. You know that the result tastes identical to commercial honey. You know that the cost is approximately $1 per pound compared to $10 or more for commercial honey. You know that the supply in your lawn is effectively unlimited. You know that generations of grandmothers made this honey before the knowledge was suppressed. You know that the honey industry profits from your ignorance. You know that the beekeeping industry profits from your ignorance. You know that the herbicide industry profits from convincing you to poison your honey supply. The yellow flowers in your lawn are not weeds to be destroyed. They are a crop waiting to be harvested. They are honey waiting to be made. They are independence waiting to be claimed. The next time you see a dandelion, you have a choice. You can reach for the herbicide spray that the chemical industry sold you. You can destroy the plant that could feed you. You can continue paying $10 per pound for honey that might be fake, or you can reach down and pick the flower. You can gather a bag of golden blossoms. You can take them inside and make something your great-grandmother would recognize. You can produce honey that is real when commercial honey may not be. The weed makes honey. The honey requires no bees. The knowledge was hidden. Now the knowledge is yours. What will you do with the dandelions in your lawn? If this video helped you, subscribe and hit the bell. Every share spreads what they wanted to stay buried. The next video opens soon.